Hey guys, Jira bro back with another video. In this video, we're gonna be talking about the skills that you need as an Atlassian admin. Now, these are the skills that I believe that you should have as an Atlassian admin. Of course, there are going to be some other opinions about this, but this is just something that I'm laying down for those who actually want to get into this field. All right, so the very first thing is we're gonna be talking about the technical skills. When it comes to Atlassian admin, this is for the Jira because you're gonna be administering more than one Atlassian product. Usually this is going to be the Jira, Confluence, and Jira Service Management. Probably you're going to see these three always. And some of the additional ones may be Bitbucket and Trello that are also part of the Atlassian product family. So when it comes to Jira, first things first, you should know the administration of Jira, right? So when it comes to administration of Jira is configuring the projects, configuring the workflows, configuring the boards, mapping the workflow statuses with those boards as well. Also, changing the project lead for the projects, setting up the board administrators based on the requirements, changing and adding the issue types, also customizing the workflows and etc. Then we have also the user management and the permissions themselves, and applying the best security practices, because within that specific project, you need to actually make sure that certain users are having the certain user roles, and that some of the users don't require so much of permissions like the administrators, and there should be limited to the things that they can do within the project itself. Also, we have the workflow customization. This is when customizing the workflow, either adding the statuses, changing the initial status, which is the very first status as well, applying those statuses and applying transitions in order to actually satisfy the business requirements that you're actually having from your stakeholders. Also, utilizing the usage of properties, the conditions, the validators, and the post functions in order to actually optimize these workflows and to make the life easier for the users themselves. Of course, this needs to be according to the business needs as well. Also, the creation of filters and the dashboards, because you're going to be required to create the custom dashboards for your users depending on their needs, depending on what kind of gadgets that they want to have. And also, this is where the knowledge of JQL is highly recommended to actually have, because I believe that every Atlassian admin should have some JQL knowledge. Automation rules, of course, all of the manual tasks that can be that are happening, you can actually create automation rules to resolve that. But also, depending on the requirements from your users, this is where you can actually recognize how the automation rule can actually be created and applied to those specific projects. And then we have something that is called like the organization configuration. As the organization admin, you're probably gonna be that, besides your the Atlassian admin, right? And you're gonna have the access to stuff like products, to stuff like security, for the audit logs, for the data security policies, for adding some additional policies such as billable and non-billable policies as well. Also, creating and having the external identity provider in order to actually add an extra layer of the security. And this is where you're creating your verified domains. Within those verified domains, you can enhance the security. And this is where you would actually also need the subscription for the Atlassian Guard. Also, the knowledge of the Jira Service Management, of course, configuring the projects, the configuration of the SLAs or the workflows, of course, and the configuration of request types. Also, creation of the forms, either some of the regular forms or creating some of the dynamic forms that can actually be applied within the customer portals, also the configuration for those customer portals, and if needed, the configuration of the help centers as a whole. Then, of course, you have for the confluence, and when it comes to confluence, it's basically like creating the spaces, adding the users to that spaces, reminding the users, even though that they're actually insisting on anonymous access, to warn them that anonymous access, with that the pages within the space itself will be publicly available to everyone in the internet. So that's one thing. Then you also have but pretty much not so a lot of things actually in there. I would actually go with that to be focused on that, because all of the content creation, for the content creation when it comes to Atlassian Admin, it would be great to have the documentation of your processes that you're doing, and also creating some of the training material for your users as well. Then you have like for the bitbucket and Trello. When it comes to like bitbucket, it's like the whole configuration, setting up the repositories, if needed, the setting up of the CI/CD tools for creating some standard DevOps processes. Also, integration of let's say Jira and the bitbucket as well. That is also a common case. And keeping the security repositories at the highest levels as well. And you can also create the deployments option within the Jira with the bitbucket CI/CD tools. That is also available. That is something that you can do, and this is, of course, if this is the requirement from the stakeholder. For the Trello, it's mostly about having the permissions all set up, setting up the new boards, adding some of the power-ups, setting up the automations that are needed for the users. For the power-ups, an example would be, and this is a common case, installing some Google Drive, so the users can actually synchronize their Google Drive work within their Trello cards, and creating the template of the cards for the Trello as well. So that is another common case. And then you have some additional technical skills. This is not something that is like a must. This is something like that they're saying, and maybe even in some of the job posts you're going to be seeing that these are required as well. This really depends if the stakeholder is looking for someone to work within the data center or someone to work within the cloud. Because within the data center, then the story is kind of different, because you also need to take care of the clusters for both Jira and Confluence clusters. And also you would be probably required to know some of the Groovy Groovy scripting for the script runner in order to create some custom scripts in order to actually solve some of the business problems. Then of course you have the Jira API that it's either integration with the other tools, but mostly the integration with the other tools go through the webhooks that you're actually creating. But yeah, the knowledge of Jira API and of course they're actually looking for some Forge knowledge. This is about creating some of the custom apps, and this is more of a engineering role than an administrator role, because in here you need to know coding when it comes to coding. It's JavaScript, Node, and React. When it comes to other skills, you should have some basics of project management skills. You don't need to actually have a PMP certification, because that is one certification that is used for project managers. You're not a project manager here, but it's good to know about the project management, especially with the Kanban and Scrum, how those methodologies work. And also to recommend to someone, if they're new to Jira, to either choose the project that is having a template of a Kanban or the project that is having a template of Scrum. And if they're saying, my team is estimating tasks, they like to have everything figured out by themselves, and we're spending a lot of time on planning about the issues and things like that. So you already know when they're saying those words, you can say, oh, the best one is team managed Scrum project for you. Then you have the Agile based knowledge. What is Agile? What are the frameworks of the Agile? What is the Agile manifesto? Why the Agile is basically there, and things like that. Also leadership, because you also want to be able to actually recommend the solutions for your customers, not only to solve their problems, but I'm not saying like going above and beyond, but to believe in the things that you're actually saying, and of course to empower the other people that are around you with some of the recommendations on how they can actually optimize their business. And you also have this kind of opposite thing when you have the stakeholder management, because when there is sometime option to say no, even if they're expecting from you for all of the things to be done, but some of the solutions right there simply do not exist, and there are no alternatives for those, and basically it is how it is. So that is the another thing. And of course the time management. Why time management? Because it's really important to know which tasks for you as an Atlassian admin should be prioritized, which are having the higher priority, and which ones are not having the high priority, not that bigger of a priority. If we're gonna be talking about that, there's like, oh, this is a high priority, this is then a medium priority, and there is actually something that is like low priority that can actually wait. But yeah, this is my take on the skills on what kind of skills the Atlassian admin needs to have. So yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video. Bye bye.